Hey guys, Analog Man here for another late night deck profile, and as you can see from the title, we are looking at Galacticmon or Ragnamon, however you want to call it. Um, yeah, no, this deck it's been around. It's been around for like what 2 years. So the deck originally came out. It didn't really do anything, but now with the new support, you can actually play this deck, and it's actually kind of a crazy OTK deck. The only thing I'm currently missing as of this recording is the old BT18 Zenith. But once you have that, you should be able to de-digivolve people's boards when attacking, which is pretty crazy. That actually does really, really hurt because it's a tamer effect. So that means they are not immune unless they're Magna X. Yeah, basically they have to be Magna X or they have to be something that says unaffected by your opponent's effects, not Digimon effects, because the Tamer does the de-digivolving, which is really crazy. Um, the deck is actually kind of crazy. It's now become a really powerful OTK deck, mainly thanks to one option card, specifically the Ragnarok cannon, which lets you just reduce their security to nothing. And if not, if they say they're immune to Digimon effects, well, guess what? They're not, because we have Ragnarok cannon to kill it, because it is an option. So you have the alternate way of popping something. If you don't kill it, you can just keep killing stuff. You can potentially knock out a giant stack if they don't have enough protection, which is really crazy. But yeah, no, the deck is actually pretty insane how it works. So let's look at first starting off with the eggs. For the 4 eggs, I do run 4 Dory. I do want to try out the Sumamon, but from what I've heard, it doesn't really do much because all it really does is that it puts you up to like 17,000 DP during your opponent's turn, which can potentially protect it from certain things like red, purple, imperial if it's in your locals. So if that's the case, I would switch over to that. If not, if you want draw power, Dorymon is where you want it currently. But yeah, it's pretty solid, honestly. Like, the only thing this deck genuinely needs currently would be protection against DP reduction. If it had that, this deck would basically be completely broken. So for rookies, we only run one rookie, but we run specifically 3 versions of it. First off, we run the BT11 Venmon at 13. Originally, I was running at 14, but I ended up essentially, I found out I was 1 card over in testing. So thanks to that, we are back to 13 specifically. This card is the original BT11 one. I do, as you can see, I have one that's foil. I wish I could foil the rest, but it's whatever. This guy is actually pretty cool. You can include 50 copies of him for those that do not know. And on your main phase, you can suspend, reveal top 3, and grab something with Snatch, Destro, or Galacticmon, or Fusionize among them. And then you get to place a Venmon underneath, which all of them do the almost the exact same thing, which is reduction. This guy is pretty crazy. I have seen a lot of builds reducing this down to maybe like 8 or 10. But after testing the deck with more than 10, it feels way better because you're going to be able to get way more searches. And if you don't want to search, you can just swing them into security. The main thing is that you want these guys in trash to essentially equip them or digicross them. That's the really cool thing. This deck in BT18 got new cards that essentially allowed you to digicross on people, which is really crazy. And one of them does actually grab stuff from the trash, so potentially a lot of your plays need at least 4 Venmon in trash. So it's actually really good to like kind of let them kind of kill your board a little bit, because every time you search with one of these, you get to basically equip one, so they're killing 2 in the process. So you just essentially just build up like a ton in trash, and then you just start equipping and you start blowing up their boards in the process. But yeah, as you can see, we are running the 13 Venmons. They're really insane. But yeah, no, we run the 13 Venmons. Then we, of course, run 4 of the BT18 ones that I mentioned before. This guy's really cool. On play, you get to reveal. But yeah, basically, on play, you reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. Among them, you get to add 1 Venmon in its text to your hand and place 1 Venmon as one of your Digimon's bottom source. So you get to search and you get to equip with this, which is really good. But yeah, we run 4 copies because this also does the same exact thing. Inherit wise, it gets basically allows you to reduce it by 1 for the evolution if it has Venmon in its text specifically in this case, which is really crazy. The original one specifically for its inherit, it reduces whenever you digivolve into a Destro or Galactic, so that's usually what you're going to be doing. So it's not too bad. Then the last one we run is just 2 of the new BT21. This guy is honestly not that great, hence why I have him at 2. I had him at 4 copies before, and it just didn't really feel great because you do not want to be grabbing. I mean, you do get to trash a Venmon in from your hand, basically, which is really cool. It specifically discards a card with Venmon and its text to basically return one non-Digiate card with Venmon and its text from your trash to your hand. You don't really want to be returning them to your hand unless you really needed it for the Digicross, but you're going to be passing turn because of that, so it's not honestly that great. You're mainly just playing it for the Inherit and to kind of Evo it here in Raising. That's about it. I have yet to use its effect to grab back a card. You mainly just want it for the reduction. For level 4s, we only run one, but we run 2 different versions of it. We run the BT18, which, as I mentioned, you can Digicross with 4 Venmons, and for each one you get to reduce by 1. And then, of course, if you only have a Venmon on board, you get to Digicross this with stuff in your trash, which is really cool. And his all turns effect is really cool. When any Venmon would return to the bottom of the deck, or when any Venmon return to the bottom of the deck from this Digimon's sources, this Digimon unsuspends and gains blocker until the end of your opponent's turn. So you can actually unsuspend him, which is really cool. I originally, when I first bought him, I wasn't using that ability properly, so I would always leave my Galacticmon suspended, which did kind of cause some problems, but now that I realize what it does, it's actually really crazy how good he is. The fact that you can unsuspend on your opponent's turn and it gains blocker, so if they end up trying to kill you, you basically just make a blocker on their turn, which is cool. Then we run 4 of the Snatchmon from BT21. This one's really cool. On player, when Digivolving, you get to reveal the top 3, so it is a searcher. And you can add 1 card with Venmon as text among them to your hand. You get to trash the rest. But then you can equip 2 Venmons from your trash as this guy's sources. And his all turns is just when any Venmon are returned to the bottom of the deck from this guy's sources, you get to delete one of your opponent's Digimon with a play cost of 4 or less. So you get to kill their little rookie, which is really cool. And yeah, that's basically all for level 4. So level 5s, we only run 1 guy, but we run 2 different versions. I'm running 3 copies of the old promo Destro because of the fact is that early game, if you have enough Venmons in hand, if you have like 4 Venmons in this guy and then like 1 Snatch, you basically just get to kill their Tamer for free. You get to kill their Tamer and potentially a rookie on the board, because normally starting off, they should have a 4-cost Tamer and a rookie out on the board for searching, so you can pop both of those with this guy and just leave it on the board. It's super crazy. And on the opponent's turn, once per turn, when a Digimon attacks, you can return 2 Venmons to switch the target to this Digimon. So you can switch it to the Galactic, so they basically are forced to punch in, which is really cool. Then we run 2 of the new BT21 Destro because it makes it so they cannot strip cards from our stack, which is really cool. And then for every 2 Venmon, you get to de-Digivolve a Digimon, which is really cool. And then all turns, when this guy leaves the battlefield, you get to play a Venmon for free, which is really cool. If you have the Searcher one here from BT18, you get to play it out to search. Or if you want to recover something, you play this out to recover. That's basically all for level 5s. We only run 1 level 6, and that is Galacticmon from BT21. He is basically the big boss of the deck. You don't really need level 7s in this deck because he basically does a lot of the work for you. Obviously, for those that do not know, he has an alternate Digivolution that allows him to Digivolve on top of a Snatchmon, but for 9 cost. You really shouldn't be using this effect. There are instances where if you have enough memory, if you have 5 or maybe 4 memory, it's not too bad to pass the 5. But if not, don't do it. But when Digivolving, you get to place 4 cards with Venmon in their text. So remember this specifically because during testing, I did not realize this, and I had been playing it wrong. And then after I realized it, I started actually essentially winning games because of this. Basically, you get to equip anything with Venmon in its text. So you don't only have to equip a Venmon, which is really cool. So you can actually load this guy up with Destro or a Snatch, which is really crazy. And then if you do that, you can just immediately play a Ragnarok cannon without paying the cost. So you're going to do that, and you're going to pop something on the board. So if they only have that 1 stat, it's gone. And then start of your main phase, you get to delete one of your opponent's Digimon. So if they leave a Digimon out on board and they can't protect it, it dies thanks to this. And in all turns, when this guy would leave the battle area by returning 4 Venmon from this guy's sources to the bottom of the deck, it doesn't leave. So usually how you stack it, if you have like 8 of these underneath, Yeah, you're basically sitting pretty at that point because you can protect it twice and or end attacks if you have Destro in it or redirect attacks, which is really crazy. Like this guy is really cool. And then the cool thing is that the option card works off of him really well. So when you attack, you can pop it to kill another one of their guys. So if they only have one stat, that stack's going away. But it's just really cool. Anyway, the rest of the deck is just the options and tamer. So let's get into that. First off, of course, as I mentioned, we are playing the Ragnarok cannon. We're running 4 copies. For people that do not know what this card does, it's actually kind of insane. You get to delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest play cost, but if they only have one guy on the board, he's dead. Then you place this card in your battle area, and then your turn when one of your Galacticmon attacks, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest play cost, and if it didn't delete, you basically reduce their security stack to 1. Its inherit or security effect is basically you get to play one card with Venmon and its text with a play cost of 6 or less from your hand or trash. So you could actually play back a Snatchmon, and you get to basically search with this one, or you get to absorb and make a big stack with him, which is really cool. So you got to run 4 copies. This is like the main thing, like killing stuff for you half the time, aside from Galacticmon on your turn. Then we run 3 Fusionize. I'm still sad that I do not have a third foil copy from back then, but whatever. Fusionize is actually kind of crazy. In security, you get to reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, and you get to play a Venmon and then trash the rest. But the main thing you're going to be using this card is making free Evos. Basically, if you have a Snatchmon with a bunch of Venmons underneath, you basically get to play this for 0 because it specifically specifies when you use this card, if you have a Snatchmon, you get to reduce the cost by 1, so it becomes a 0 cost. And then main by placing one Venmon, Destromon from your trash under one of your Digimon as its bottom source, you get to Digivolve it into a Destro or Galactic from your trash for its Digivolution. So it's pretty cool. You get to tuck something and you get to evolve something that was hidden trash, which is really cool. So this card is only crucial in certain instances when you have the proper setup, but normally you're just placing stuff underneath to digivolve like the Snatchmon into a Destro in your trash. So it's pretty cool. And if not, if you have Destro but Galactic's in trash because you trashed it off of something, you get to evolve into Galacticmon and you get to reduce the cost, which is really cool. Then, of course, we end the options with 1 Black Scramble because Black Scramble helps you go into Snatch. And, of course, if they wipe your guy, you can use this to basically rebuild your stack and summon a guy in the process. So pretty cool. For Tamers, currently we are only running 2. One of them obviously is Zenith, but if I had the other Zenith, I would also run it. But for now, what we're doing is that we're running 4 of him from BT21. He's just a memory setter and a searcher, essentially. You basically get to reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. Among them, play 1 Venmon without paying the cost, or add 1 card of Venmon's text to the hand, and then you trash the rest. So he does help you set up and play out guys, which is really cool. And then we run 3 analog use because this deck does want to see stuff in trash. It doesn't really matter if you mill out some of the other weapons or the other options, essentially, or the Fusionize or the Ragnarok cannon, or even the Tamer, honestly, because I've actually won games without it. So it's just mainly to set up so that if they somehow manage to delete your guy, you're going to be gaining a ton of memory back off it, especially if you have 2. If they pass you to 3 while killing this guy, you get to go back up for 5, and you get to basically start your setup back up in Raising, and you get to start it up here in the battle area, which is really cool. And of course, the fact that he is just a 2 cost drop, so you can basically memory choke them all day with this thing, which is really cool, and or just playing a Venmon. So you can either, like, this deck is really wonky, but it's a really cool deck. It's a really cool OTK, like, it's a very strange OTK deck because it's like half the time it's a very defensive, like, control-y deck, but then when it gets going, it just punches through. It just straight up punches through security and your opponent. So potentially you should be able to take out a lot of things because a lot of Digimon currently say they aren't affected by Digimon effects, but Ragnarok Cannon can get around that. So sometimes you can actually pass turn with Ragnarok Cannon. It's kind of crazy that you can even do that, but you can do it and you can be like, okay, cool. 6 costs, kill your guy. He's not immune to options. There's not really that many really powerful Digimon that are immune to options except for Magna X. So if you stumble upon a Gallant player, you're just going to steamroll through them, which is really cool because you get to make a guy so big that they can't kill it. And if they attempt to kill it, you just go, no, it's not leaving. And then next turn, you just try and attempt to pop them, or you swing and you pop them with the Ragnarok cannon. So you just go, okay, game. So it's a real, like, once this deck gets going, it's really strong. It does kind of struggle in the beginning because of just the fact that it has to search out parts, it has to put stuff into trash. But for anybody that's played Red Hybrid, you know how fast that deck is, and you know how fast it is for them to check security or just like put guys in trash. And especially with all these other effects about trashing the rest, you can set up actually pretty fast. Like, I've seen people actually go into a turn 2 Galacticmon, but they had to pay 9. But even then, they had the memory setter out. They were ready to just go for it, which is really crazy. Like, I've never seen that many people do it, but you can, which is the cool thing. The fact that you can skip from a level 4 to a 6 is really insane, because sometimes you kind of have to, because in that instance you can just delete something off their board. Or in the case of this Destromon is actually really crucial currently, because a lot of decks rely on tamers and rookies to search out stuff. So if you manage to play this out and pass them to only 2, you're basically killing both their tamer and their rookie, which does set them back a turn, which potentially helps you set up into a Galacticmon, and then you can just chill at that point, which is really cool. But yeah, that's basically the deck. I just wanted to get this out here so that people can actually kind of get a general idea of Galacticmon, because there have been a lot of builds going. There's like a few builds that I've seen so far. I've seen ones that are just like very basic. I've seen ones that kind of go a little bit weird with how they want to do stuff, but they do add in more option cards like Black Memory Boost and searching like trainings and stuff, which do work in this deck. But the thing is, you don't really have room to do it because you're running so many of these Venmons or Bemmons, whatever, however you call it. But it's like, because of that, the deck space is very tight. So the fact that I even managed to fit in all these options and the tamers is kind of crazy. I ended up, just as I mentioned, that's kind of the reason why this is at 13, because I had to take out one. Um, and it's just like, if you want to reduce it down, it's fine, but like, you do lose out on a bit of searching, so it's just kind of weird of how it works. But honestly, once you get used to this deck, it's actually really powerful. Like, it's really, really strong, and if you can master it, I guarantee you'll at least win some of your locals. At least I guarantee at least that you will surprise people, and you will at least sneak by with like a few, maybe 1 or 2 first place wins with this, because this deck is actually really crazy, and it's very, very, very slept on, because people just think, oh, it's just that gimmick deck from BT11. Oh, whatever, who cares? That's until they get slapped by a Ragnarok cannon into like their immune guy or whatever the hell. So really crazy, really strong. Oh, and also funny thing, this does have a slight funny matchup against Sakuya, because the fact that you can de-digivolve them, they have no protection from de-digivolve. The fact that they don't have protection from option cards, they do have protection from Digimon bouncing and deletion in some sense, but you can potentially just force them to have to deal with this. And not only that, is that if you manage to set up after they've like done their whole Sakuya play, you basically wait for them to deck out while you have a giant wall that they can't get past. And not only that, is with Sakuya, you also have the thing where, so the thing is that their tokens that they spawn do not have levels. So if they don't put out a rookie, you're gonna be popping their main stat with Ragnarok Cannon every single time on like turn 3, when you let them basically like rip your security in half. But at that point, they should have loaded up your trash for you, so you should be in the clear to just blow up their board, which is really hilarious when that goes off. And not only that, because you're running the analog use, you can technically, if you really wanted to against Sakurimon, you could tech in an emergency program shutdown if you really wanted to. Aside from that, the deck is just pure black, but it works really, really well. It's kind of rare to see a pure black deck actually being in the meta, but this deck is actually strong enough that I feel like it can actually do stuff now. So, yeah, as usual, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thought of this, and I'll see you guys next time.